Welcome back to the Build Show. Steve Basic here. We're in for a little treat today. Check this out. We're out here at the ranch remodel. We're not upstairs, we're downstairs. We're finishing off the basement as part of this renovation remodeling project. As you can see, we have this beautiful floor that we're putting in this house. It's a wide plank vinyl floor. It looks like a white oak, character grade. But the real treat today is we got Dave, the floor guy, here to fill us in on everything A to Z about putting this floor in. So let's go catch up with Dave. What's up, Dave?
What's Steve? How you doing?
So we got Dave, the floor guy, here. He's putting in the floor. We're working our way this way. But before we get into the actual floor, let's talk a little bit about how we prep for this. I know you showed me this, which looks like a pretty deadly piece of machinery, but if you can explain exactly what we're looking at here.
Sure. This is diamond brush scarifying or floor preparer. So it's got diamond edges on it that smooth and scarify the floor so that we can apply our self-leveler and get a proper bond between the concrete and self-leveler.
So this basically just goes under your typical rotary polisher.
Correct.
We put it under there. These are diamond tipped blades. They basically scratch the hell out of the floor.
Correct. They scratch the floor to make a mechanical bond.
And we're trying to create those nooks and crannies. So when you guys put in the floor leveler in here, and I know we talked a little earlier, we didn't level the whole floor. If we took a laser from one side to the other, we'd be out. And that's just because you'd end up with a 1-inch floor leveler on one side, right?
Correct.
So we took some of the low spots out of the floor, some of the places where old concrete met new concrete. We cleaned it up, and then we scarified it is the term, basically. Correct. And that's a pretty good term for this, because this scarifies the hell out of me. But what that basically does is it gives us that rough surface that we can then attach that leveler to.
Correct.
So once the leveler is in those places, and obviously here we didn't need to level it, we're just putting it right on top of the concrete. So let's talk a little bit about the floor. We have, the floor it's a vinyl floor. It's made by US Floors. They're Cortec, the original. Like I said, it's a white oak. Probably easier to just show you. Here's a couple pieces here. You can see now, walk me through this, Dave. We have the top surface here.
We have a 20 mil wear layer on this, and you have a vinyl tile attached to a composite core. And on the bottom of the composite core, we have cork. And the cork adds a thermal break between the concrete and the floor, and then also it softens the step.
A little cushion.
And it also deadens the sound as well.
And it elevates, so I'm just going to reiterate that. We have this beautiful finish layer, and man, look at that. It is hard to tell from 5 feet that is not wood.
Correct.
It's amazing where technology has gone. And we're getting that look in what? Maybe it looks like about 3/8?
It's a half-inch, actually.
Half-inch, okay. So we have the good-looking stuff with the core of very stable stuff.
Correct.
With the base of a cushion and an elevated SDC rating.
Correct.
And then the way this gets installed is you basically have that one piece installed. You can see there's a little lip there, if you can catch that. And then we have the mating lip here. So this just goes in, right, Dave? You start elevated, and it basically just clicks in.
A little bit of force, and it locks into place.
And and it basically just locks into place there, and we go across the floor. Now, who doesn't like to play with cool Dave the Floor Guy tools, right? So, over here, Dave's going to let me have a shot at what they call the guillotine. So, I know you're all dying to understand how do you cut this stuff to length. Well, we put that piece in there, we get it properly measured, we put it down, get my left foot on there, and bam!
Cuts it right off. Nice and clean.
The guillotine cuts it to length. And then we take that, we install it, we have that beautiful floor. And then we have one last thing, right, Dave?
Yep.
We have these tools here, which you showed me. This is basically the Bona type Swiffer.
Correct.
And then this here. So tell me a little bit about that.
This is a pH neutral floor cleaner. It doesn't have a polish, it's just a cleaner to maintain the floor for day-to-day use.
So it's not a wear layer.
No.
It doesn't add anything to the durability.
No.
All this does is make something that looks good look great.
Correct.
Well, Dave, I got to tell you, man, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
This place is looking awesome. Greatly appreciate you jumping on the video here, getting everybody out on the build show here to learn a little bit more about how to install some flooring in their basement.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, everybody. So hopefully you enjoyed that. It's not often we get to tour with a professional like Dave that knows his stuff and, does just an absolutely beautiful job. So that stuff is gorgeous down there. That Core-Tech floor, it's by US Floors. It's the white oak version. Absolutely beautiful down there for a basement finish. So I printed out the basement plan. There's not a lot to talk about in the development of, the floor finish, but there's a couple things we can talk about: basement design and what happened out at the ranch remodel in the basement and how we laid it out. So let's dive into that floor plan. Of course, we got to put our friend Big Red to work today. So let's check it out. All right, everybody. So I printed out a quick shot of the basement. We'll do a little bit of talking about what we did down there. It wasn't too drastic, but you can basically see this is the general outline of the basement proper here. That's what was there. And then if you remember some of the previous videos, we talked about it. We added 3 additions. This was additional space to the kitchen above. This was additional space to a sunroom above. And then this was extending the master suite. So we have that basement proper. This says probably something like 32 feet. And the full length of this is 48 feet. So that's a really good basement. We're talking, 1,500 square feet of basement. It's absolutely a basement to die for. And then when we added on these spaces, we did a little craft room here for the client. And if you remember one of the previous videos, we talked about it, but we did an egress well here, and we did some oversized windows here so you can climb out and get out in case of an emergency. Or if you wanted to turn this into a bedroom at some point in the future, it has legal egress out of the basement here, given that the stairs are over on this side of the basement. So we turned that into a craft room. The flooring basically went all the way across this area and through the craft room. It stopped just inside the door here, and it stopped at the double door here. And here, this space here is utility space. Over here, boiler, electrical panels, all of that good stuff. All the stuff for the radiant floors there. And then this is just basically storage under there, and some miscellaneous storage under there. A couple things that we added to the basement, especially given the size of that. The client likes to throw some parties and such, and they used to have a bunch of them down in the basement we did a little kitchenette here. It has its own dishwasher, and we have a little sink there and some associated cabinetry, beverage fridge, everything you need so that you don't have to go upstairs. But another big add that they didn't have was we added a powder room to the basement. And you can see that here, the door here. We have wall hung toilet, and we have our vanity there. A couple things about putting in the powder room. Architecturally, you didn't want to just come out into the public space. So I created what I would call a little back hall, which is this space here. And then we put the powder room off of it. It allows somebody to use the powder room and kind of adjust themselves and come out. But there's a little transition area here before they re-enter the general population of the party. So just gives you a little bit of time in between that transition. And then, of course, the door here that gets you into the utility. And we have a set of double doors here so that if we wanted to move something big in and out of here, like a mobile ping pong table or something here, then we can do that by virtue of having the larger doors. But one of the things about putting the basement in was we didn't have the plumbing was not set for that. So it was kind of retrofitted. So we did a wall hung toilet, which allowed us to keep the plumbing above the slab and drop it into an ejector pump there. So we really didn't have to crack the slab or do a whole lot as far as getting stuff over there. And it's fully exposed, so if there's any future work that had to be done on it or maintenance or that, you have fully access to it. And the beauty of having this over here in the ejector pump, well, the outlet to the septic system is right there. So the ejector pump just basically pumps it up and drops it in. It has to pump it up, I don't know, probably an elevation of about 4 feet, drops it into that septic, and then it goes out into the septic field. So, and it's everything about this basement design. Some of them get a little bit more exciting. This one here, we just basically fitted it out, cleaned it up. One of the things that always comes up also is you have these lolly columns. And I don't know if you noticed in the video. If you didn't, you can go back and check it out. But it came up, do we wrap these? How do we treat these? And I have done wraps before, but most commonly I tell people, paint them a dark gray, paint them a black, and they'll fade away into the noise of the photo. So if you don't believe me, go back, check them out. You can see them in there, but you probably didn't even notice them the first time watching the video, and you go back and you go, oh yeah, there they are. They do. We painted them black and they faded back into the noise. So anyways, that's our basement design out at the ranch model. You got to talk to Dave. Dave talked about those floors. Remember, it's Core Tech. They're by US Floors. And yeah, that's it for today. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Big Red, done for the night. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Like I said, always a treat when we get to work with professionals out on the job site there and have a chat with them about the specifics of their job. It's looking good out there. Dave's doing a hell of a job. He's a big Build Show fan. Watches all the videos all the time. Yeah, if you haven't been watching them, go check them out. Build Show Network. Like I always say, you got to watch them 6 or 7 times before you really grasp the concepts of the videos. And when you're done watching mine, got good friends, Matt, Jake, Wade, and Brent, all out there tossing out really good stuff. I mean, this is a library of videos that you get to get for free, get all kinds of up-to-date working knowledge of things that we're doing right now. If you want more of me, hey, you can find me on Instagram, Steve Basic Architect. Post information up there regularly to share. Trying to lift the industry and get it to a better place. If you want even more than that, my daughter posts a bunch of stuff. She works with me, Alexandra Basic on Instagram. Check her out. She's always putting up good stuff too. She does a lot of really cool renderings for the office and modeling and stuff. So it's really, really good. Lastly, my good friends Peter Yost and Jake Bruton. I join them every other week on the Unbuild It podcast. That's where we talk about some pretty complex building science concepts and building industry ideas. And we break them down. We unbuild them. We talk about them. We voice our opinions. We laugh and joke and have a little fun at it. But we get our points across. So go check it out. Unbuild It podcast. Enjoy it. Well, that's everything for tonight. So hope you enjoyed it. Long live our buildings.